The following is a presentation of the Black Hollywood Live Network, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. Hollywood Redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Phenomenal Women, featuring in-depth interviews with today's most inspiring women. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood Redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host of Black Hollywood Live, Phenomenal Women.
Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Phenomenal Women. I'm your host, Ashida Henre, and with me today, I have a very special guest, Joy Donnell, who is a media strategist, producer, chief operating officer, and luxury director of magazine Vannucci. I'm loving it. And publicist extraordinaire. Oh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
I am so glad that you are here with me early this Friday morning.
I know.
Right? So let's get started in all of your talents that you have. You started off as a publicist.
Yes.
So take us through that journey on how you became a publicist.
Well, I thought I was going to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually what my plan was. I was going to go into international law and combine that with Japanese law. I had studied Japanese cultural studies.
Oh, wow.
I had a lot of contacts in Japan. So I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a lawyer. I'm going to, help with international law in Japan. And that was my whole game plan. And then I met a man named Consul Ono, who was the consulate general of Japan to Atlanta. And he actually suggested PR to me. And I was like, what did I do to make you hate me? Like, what? Oh. Why would you suggest something like that to me
Right.
as a career? It was the worst idea I had ever heard in my life. And then I went back to school. I was going to William & Mary. And there was this wonderful woman who was from Somalia, and she was trying to find refuge for herself and her daughter. And I was leading this, social action committee. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to school here in Virginia. D.C. is right there. We know people in D.C. because they've come and they've spoken to the school and everything. So all I need to do, I just need to get a bunch of signatures and show that there's support behind her, because she was seeking refuge in the United States because her daughter did not want to be circumcised. And so she had smuggled her daughter out of Somalia. She was trying to get refuge for them. And I thought, this will be easy. And I failed. Epically failed. It didn't even blip on anyone's radar. And she thankfully ended up getting refuge in the UK. But I was so dismayed and bewildered by that. And so that's when I realized Consul Ono had a point. I don't really understand things about messaging. I don't understand the media. I don't understand how to go about getting your voice across and getting your voice heard, especially when you want to stand up for something and stand up for someone. And so that's when I changed my focus and I looked at PR. And I went into corporate PR first, worked with a lot of amazing billion-dollar brands, global brands, and was kind of a little bored with that. Because you're sitting around, you're like, sure wish hopefully something interesting will happen at the factory or something today, because there's not really much of anything to talk about other than the company launched this and the
you've worked with some
major.
you've worked with Chrysler, Mercedes, Warner Brothers, Campaign for Wool.
Yes.
So.
And that was with His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales.
So you've worked with some major companies.
And that was from me looking at straight corporate PR and being like, this is Snoozeville. This is a synonym for Ambien.
Oh,
so
no.
How can I expand beyond that?
Yeah.
And I really started looking at entertainment and luxury. And I was living on the East Coast at the time. And I had to make a decision. I could either live in New York or I could live in LA full time. And I was spending this one winter in New York with some friends, and the snow, and I'm not exaggerating, they had pushed the snow off to the side and the snow was actually above the street sign. And I was like, this is stupid. I can't do this. I want to go somewhere where there's palm trees and a beach and loveliness. So LA won out, and I came out here and I freelanced and I got to know people, and I eventually started my own firm, and that's led to this.
Wow. Yeah. So what advice, because I know sometimes when you come out, you come to a new city, you're brand new and you start freelancing. What advice do you have for people who, for our listeners and our viewers on how to stay the course? How to not, feel discouraged because, oh, wow, nothing's coming up, nothing's happening. I'm freelancing, I'm not making any money. What advice do you have for them?
Get over yourself.
That was straight to the point, wasn't it? I like that.
Get over yourself. Life does not have time for your pity party.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that you're sitting there. A lot of times people are sitting there frustrated on their sofa.
Yes.
There's not much stock in sedentary frustration. Get up and leave the house. I came to LA, I knew one person in the city, one person to the point where if something happened at 2:00 in the morning and I needed to be saved, that was the one person that would come get me at 2:00 in the morning. So I didn't really know anyone here.
Wow.
I didn't have a safety net. I didn't have family. I didn't have an uncle who owned a studio or anything like that. I had to meet everyone. And I went out and I met people. I met people at the Whole Foods. I met people at the Trader Joe's.
I love it.
I volunteered because I didn't know anyone. And I wasn't even quite sure what kind of clients I wanted because I was still building the definition of my brand and my career. I had to kind of tinker around with the atmosphere and figure out what exact niche I wanted to carve. All that I knew was that I had a unique perspective on publicity, and I wanted to share that with people, and I wanted to get clients that I could help them own the power of their voice.
Right.
But I didn't quite know exactly who I wanted to work with. So I volunteered. I found amazing nonprofit charity initiatives, and I was like, hey, I know how to do PR. Do you need a publicist? I'll help you. And from there, I met people. I met event planners and organizers, other publicists who gave me referrals. I met talent that was like, I like the way that you operate. I'm watching what you do. I want to work with you, or I have someone that I want to refer to you. And I put out press releases and things like that for people. And so people found me on the internet. It was all about leaving the house and actually doing something. And when the work isn't coming, make the work yourself.
Yeah.
Find something outside of you to still keep going. Don't just sit there and be stagnant. Momentum attracts momentum.
Preach.
It's so you have to go ahead. If you don't have the momentum, go get yourself momentum. And I always get I'm just completely dismayed when people are like, I don't know anyone. What's wrong with you? Go out and meet people.
Well, some people have a problem with networking.
Yes.
They'll go to a networking event. They'll come with 3 of their friends or 3, people that they know business-wise, and they'll go and they'll just hang out with those 3 people.
Right.
Because there's a sense of fear of walking up to someone that you don't know and saying, hi, I'm Ashita Andre, and what's your name? What do you do? And then just have a casual conversation. And people have a fear of doing that.
Absolutely.
And so when they go, they say, oh, network events are not for me. I don't meet anyone. But it's all about strategy, which is what you do. One of the things that you do is being a strategist. And so I think that people just need to learn how to come out of their shell to meet people, like you say, and to grow your network.
Absolutely. And sometimes you have to change your agenda. Sometimes the reason why you're sitting there in your shell and you've got fear is because you have an agenda that is coming into the room before you're coming into the room. You're like, okay, I have these business cards. I have to pass them out. I have to find that person that's going to accelerate my career, that's going to help me, that's going to do something for me. You don't just have an agenda of, I'm going to be human. I'm going to come into this room as a human being. I'm going to say hello, and I'm going to have a conversation with another human being. If your agenda walks into the room before you do, and the agenda isn't about actually finding like-minded people who vibe on the same frequency that you vibe on, of course you're going to have fear because you're going to be thinking, I'm not good enough to talk to that person, or they're not good enough to talk to me. And that's going to supersede the actual human connection that you can make in that moment. So sometimes what has to be put aside is your agenda, your preconceived notions, what you want, the end result that you want before you come into the room.
I love it. I'm learning something new today. So I want to backtrack a little bit because I know you mentioned that you weren't familiar with PR. How did you familiarize yourself with PR?
I knew a little bit about PR. I had always been writing. So when I was at William & Mary, there were a couple of nonprofits along the Hampton Roads area, which is that area between Williamsburg, Virginia, Richmond to Virginia Beach. And so I had volunteered with them and like helped them write press releases and things like that. But I thought that was all that PR was. And so then when I actually started looking at it, like I went to the library, because at the time it was the library.
Right. Right.
Not to date myself,
Right.
but it was the library. It was not Google.
Yeah. Same here.
Right. It's like, so I went to the library and I was always an autodidact. So if I didn't know something, I didn't have to necessarily have someone teach me about it. I would go through resources, start to connect the dots myself. And then once I had a fundamental understanding, then I would reach out to someone else who had a bigger knowledge base than me. So I went to the library and I actually looked at books and they started breaking down for me exactly what PR was. And I said, wow, this is amazing. Like, this is actual real communication. This is so much more than just press releases and pitching someone to be on the Tonight Show.
Right.
Like, this is actually relating to the public in ways that we all do in our everyday lives all the time. And I tell people, I speak to groups and they'll be saying to me, well, you know, I don't understand PR. I said, really? You don't? When you're going to go out on a Friday night, do you make sure your car is clean? When your kids act up in the street, do you say, stop making me look like a fool?
Right.
You understand PR. That is PR. We all have it. That's why you go into suburbs and the neighborhoods, everybody's in the front yard making sure that they look as good as the one next to them and the one across the street. Because that is PR. That's how we all relate to each other. And it is impression, but it's also making sure that the fundamental definition of you that you want to come across, the core message of you, actually comes across to people. And that's what I love about it. I mean, that's what I always sought to do, is to get to the human within all of this campaigning, the actual human message, that core message, and make sure that that's shaped in a way that you can stay consistent. And when I really started doing PR, one of the things that amazed me the most was that it's not about exposure. It's not about publicity. It's actually more about protection than anything else. It is to make sure that you protect the baby that is that core message, that is your true brand and your true self.
That image. Right. Okay. I just got a whole new way of thinking when it comes to PR, because I didn't even think of it that way, the way that we do. You just humanized it, because we're so about, you know, the image, the public image, but it's really just, you just humanize it to make us think, oh, we do PR in our everyday lives. We get up every morning, we put our makeup on, our clothes, we look good, we have an image. You know, you're with your fiance or your husband and you guys say, okay, well, you wear this and I wear this and we step out, we look good, everybody look good, right?
My dress is this color, so have your pocket square be this color so that it coordinates. And you know, and you go out, because that's how you look, that power couple look.
Yes.
We know what a power couple looks like, you know. So that messaging comes across and it goes ahead and it solidifies more of who you are to other people. You know, and that's even what women do with fashion all the time.
Yeah.
Women do that with style. I mean, when you push comes to shove, fashion is not really what it's about. And I try to encourage women to not get stuck on fashion. Like, don't wrap all of your value into red soles on your shoes. Lots of women have shoes with red soles and shoes without red soles. That doesn't really amount to much of anything at the end of the day, unless you made the shoes.
Right. Right.
Like,
Exactly.
It's not about that. It's about making sure that your style showcases who you are.
Yeah.
If you got an edgy business, you know, like you're kind of rock and roll about the way that you do things, you're a bit of a maverick, well, don't come walking in looking like a librarian.
Right.
walk in looking like the maverick that you are. Put that edge into your style. And so then when people are like, what do you do? It's like, oh, okay, I have some kind of like, I have a rock and roll, the branded boutique. Well, you look the part. I believe it. I trust you automatically that you are a provocateur of taste for what you do because you look the part walking into the room.
Wow. I'm over here just like this because I'm learning so much. And you're just, like I said before, you just really humanized it and you really just broke it down on what PR really is.
Yes.
And it's something that we need to learn because we always think, okay, I'm going to hire a PR person and they're just going to send out, a press release and talk about the brand and you have your logo and then that's it. But you're also part of that brand. You're also part of that movement that you're starting, or continuing on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and one thing I learned working with celebrities is that when you don't define that, someone else is going to define it for you. Mm-hmm. And you're probably not going to like their definition.
Right.
And so what ends up happening is you start trying to fit someone else's definition of you. Years go by. You're completely dissatisfied. Next thing you know, that's how all that, the pills and the drinking and the depression and everything else happens because you're not you. Mm-hmm. So, no, you don't feel like getting up in the morning and stepping into this skin that is not you and it doesn't fit. It pinches it, it hurts your feet, it makes your stomach hurt because nothing about it is true to you and authentic.
Right.
And that's why I love to get to the actual human, the core of the individual. Even if it's a brand campaign, get to the human message within that campaign and bring it across to people. Because we respond to an emotional connection with things. So if you're not willing to put the emotion, the true authentic emotion into your own campaign, don't be surprised when no one is responding to it.
And we actually can feel that.
Absolutely.
As fans, as customers, we actually can sense when someone's legit, when someone's not legit,
All
when
the
we can
time.
feel that all day long. And we're like, we're not feeling if this person is real or not. Which brings me to my next question, which is strategy. Now, talk to us about being a media strategist. What encompasses that outside of just the PR per se?
Well, that's when you look at everything that's going on with the entire campaign and where it is and where you ultimately want to be. And I have a hard time understanding it because it's one of these things like, I don't know, you almost just get it from the universe or something. Like you look at everything and the dots start to connect and you start to see, okay, if this is what you want 5 years from now, this is what you want 10 years from now, this is what we need to do today to make sure that it honors that and will lead to this. And these possible doors will open. And then one of these doors you'll walk through and then this door will open. And it's very difficult to explain. It's not even an algorithm. There's no formula that I can give to it,
Right.
But it's about looking at everything that wants to be accomplished and every avenue that you can use to accomplish that and coming up with an actual strategy to it. So, for instance, if someone says to me, like I'll have someone come to me and they're like, okay, I'm acting right now, but I ultimately want to be a lifestyle brand. It's like I love clothes. I always have, it's like I want to have my own clothing line one day. I want to be known for making women feel great inside their skin. It's like, okay, so right now you're known as an actress and everyone knows you that way and they trust you that way. And your peers like you that way. And the decision makers within the entertainment industry like you that way. So how are you going to get from there to this fashionista that owns this powerful fashion brand? Well, you've got to start actually creating the messaging that showcases you in that light so that people will trust you that way when you come out with that other part of your definition. So you're going to start rocking your style in a way that is distinctive to you and have people talking about that. Oh my goodness, she was at this red carpet event. Look how wonderful she looked. It's like, oh, she tried something different and look at this and look at that. And then you're being talked about on the blogs as well as in the magazines. There's a whole strategy to that. And you're showing up at fashion weeks at the right times, sitting in the right place at Fashion Week, being photographed by the right photographers, coming in and out of the show.
Wow. It's a journey.
It is a journey.
So it's more, even though you're strategizing, you're being very strategic, but it's a journey starting from
Absolutely.
the day that you decide to do it to actually purposely changing your outfits to fit the brand that you want, and then strategically going on that journey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and for me personally, not to get metaphysical about it or anything like that, or too scientific about it, but, the way that I see time, the past, the present, and the future all simultaneously inform one another. So the minute that you make a future intent, it starts to affect your present day, if that is truly your intent. So the minute that you decide, I want to have a fashion brand. And it's not just, I want to have it, that would be nice, I wish that I would. But you actually are like, no, I am going to have this fashion brand. I'm going to be known this way. The minute that you make that decision, you affect your present.
Wow.
You change everything about your swagger from that moment on. Everything that you're doing, the way that you walk and talk and breathe it, the way that you look at yourself changes the moment that you decide that is what your future self is going to be. And so then it's just a matter of actually creating the messaging that's going to honor that future self.
And I want to backtrack a little bit. How do you get photographed by the right photographers? When you said that stuck with me, and I'm like, how do you do that? Because how do you know which photographers are the right photographers? I mean, as a publicist, I know you know.
Right. But that, again, is networking. People don't realize, and one of the things I always taught my clients was how to network on the red carpet, which is, it's not for everybody. Everyone can't do it the same way. But when you learn how to do it, you're golden at it. Okay. It's about knowing, okay, this photographer over here is with Getty. That photographer is with Wire Image. This photographer is for OK Magazine. This one's for People. And then when you go onto the carpet, you give them a little something extra into their camera. You go ahead and make it right there. Before you walk away, you maybe come over, like you shake hands with one. You make sure that you have their contact information. You send them thank you notes when they get your photos placed.
Wow.
Because these photographers are working in cahoots with you.
Right.
And that's a lot of times what people don't realize either about publicity. They think that the press is just there at their beck and call to do what they want them to do as they see it, as they see fit. That is not what it's about at all. The press, when they get behind someone, when they decide they're going to promote someone, you are all in cahoots with one another. So you need to make sure that those photographers can feed themselves when they take a picture of you. Because they're not getting paid just, from air. Okay, it's like they get paid when that photo gets sold. So you need to be doing the things that help them get that photo sold so that there's money in their pocket. You need to put money aside to buy the photos as a thank you. So that's a sign of goodwill. It's creating these relationships. It's constantly creating relationships. We are human beings. We are of the natural world. We are societal creatures, that we are social beings. That means that all we do all day long is create relationships.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the way that civilization started in Mesopotamia, they didn't spend all day long working. They worked for about 30% of the day. They spent the other 70% socializing. We've always been this way. We're getting farther away from it now with traffic and overscheduling and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it still boils down to we want to make a human connection. That's what a tweet is.
Right.
Why are you tweeting out into the ether? Because you're hoping someone will answer it.
Right. Exactly. Or
There's
favorite and retweet and all that stuff.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh my goodness, I made a human connection. Someone actually saw it. It connected to somebody.
Yeah.
They're going to share it. That's what it's about for us. That's always what it's about. So you're constantly building relationships. So you know who those photographers are. You can actually look like, if photographers always get credits, so you can look them up. Because Google now, Google does everything.
Yeah.
It's like, my goodness, I can't imagine what my life would have been like if when I was 5 years old, I had Google in my life.
Yes.
Okay. Like I'd be a beast right now. But you can go ahead, you can go to Wire Image, go to Getty, look in the clips from the magazines, see who that photographer was. Look them up. Get to know them.
Yeah.
It's like, and get to know them and get to know what they're about and know what they like and what they need so that you know how to help them get what they need to be successful. That's what the real relationship comes in. It's not just, hey, I'm Joy, and I'd like you to do this and that for me. And can you just help me out? Just work it out for me.
Right.
It's actually like, hi, I'm Joy, and I get you, and I understand what you're about. Let me help you get what you need from me. Mm-hmm. Now you've got an ally for life.
And even, well, what about when things go sour for you? Like when you're a celebrity and they want to build you up and you're like, oh, this is wonderful. And then something happens and then they just tear you down. How do you maintain a good relationship where you can kind of protect yourself when you're at that point in your career where it's a little bit of controversy?
Well, that's why you've got to always know who your real cheerleaders are.
Okay.
And this works for a celebrity, a business person, a solo entrepreneur. No matter what phase of career you are at, you should always be able to look at your contacts and know who your real cheerleaders are, who your true supporters are in life. I mean, we know it. When you're going to put something up on Facebook, you have an idea of the 10 people who are going to be the first ones to like it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Like, that if you need something shared, you need to spread the word. You know who you can hit up. Be like, hey, will you email this to some people? Will you let them know? We all know who they are. Now, maybe it's not a popular thing to say those are your A-list people, but those are your A-list people. I'm going to say it whether it's popular or not.
Right.
It's like the people who have your back are your A-list people.
And some of those can be photographers
And
and media contacts,
journalists,
journalists,
editors, producers. You know who has your back and who doesn't. And so when you find yourself in that confrontation, that controversial situation, you know who to go to that's going to give you a chance to actually tell your side of the story. Get your real point across. You just have to always know that.
Right.
And sometimes it changes and you have to be aware that it changed. You have to be aware that this person was an ally and now they've kind of gone to another side. They don't like you the same way. Maybe you did something to them that they never told you about and you didn't get a chance to apologize for it. It happens. We're grown.
Right. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay. Get past it. Keep going.
Right.
It's not the end of the day. Go to the next one. You should have more than one ally. You should always have more than one ally, and you know who those people are.
And then just stay on top of it.
Just stay on top of it.
So moving forward, tell me about this magazine, Chief Operating Officer. Tell us about this.
Well, Vannucci is something that came into my life exactly when I needed it to come into my life. I've been very lucky to fall backward into the right situations at the right time throughout my entire career. And I was having one of those moments, so I said, okay, I had worked on some really amazing campaigns in PR, and I wanted to get to the next phase of my career, which I felt was media. But I wasn't sure where I was going to go and what I was going to do. There were lots of offers on the table, and I wasn't really liking many of them because they didn't adhere to anything that I felt kindred to. And so I had given a seminar at AFTRA. By the time it was AFTRA, now it's SAG-AFTRA. It was about 5 years ago. And there was a young man in the seminar named Jordan Anthony Swain. And he made sure that I knew that he was in the audience, we connected. He came even up, got into my hot seat because when I have speaking engagements, I have hot seats.
Right. Okay.
It's so I brought him up into the hot seat. And we guys started talking about what he was doing. And he was just a phenomenal young man. He was 19 at the time. 19.
Wow.
But he had built a modeling career. He had been speaking since he was 16, doing public speaking since he was 16. So he already had 3 years of that under his belt. And he started telling me after the seminar what he wanted to do with his career. And, he was like, listen, I can't retain you. I don't have retainer for you. But can you just consult me for an hour here, an hour there, basically a la carte? And I had never done that before. But he was so passionate and he was so driven. I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And I advised him about his career. And then he came to me basically 4.5 years later and said, I'm starting a media group. And I have an amazing network of people, and this is what we want to do. And would you come on board? And when I looked at what they were doing, it was like, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I want. You basically sat down and Vannucci has been shaping itself as it's been going. I say, like, we built the landing strip as the plane was circling the runway,
Right.
But
That's a good analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was because we had a notion of what we wanted, but we weren't quite sure how it really fit our readership. So we just started building it and letting people give us feedback so that it shaped it more. Their feedback actually shaped it more and more. All we knew was that we wanted it to be a voice for the creative community, a voice for the creative spirit. And it was actually Jordan that came up with the term Vannucci after we had made this statement. And then we Googled that and come to find out that's the Hindu goddess of speech. Had no idea. It was a pure coincidence. And so since then, it's become this amazing platform for the imagination. We look for people that have innovative ways of looking at things and true vision, whether it is entertainment, fashion, the technology, fashion tech, luxury tech. And we also realize the future is now. So we bring a lot of that content into the magazine as well. And it's a Vannucci magazine is a fashion lifestyle publication. And then Vannucci Style is getting ready to relaunch in 2015, and it will be interior and style and all that luxury tech, the things like the shower can turn on from 30 feet away type of thing. And these amazing, amazing home accents that are like works of art within themselves. For instance, we just featured this abyss table by an artisan who's using sustainable materials, responsible materials in the UK named Christopher Duffy. This table is amazing. It actually looks like peering into the ocean abyss.
Wow.
It's a work of art in the middle of your home. It's a way to bring the outdoors inside, a way to bring your blood pressure down, to heighten your inspiration and your creativity so that you can be closer to your authentic self, to the true life force that is you, which is our creativity.
Right.
And so that's what we honor with Vannucci. And then Vannucci Now is our daily format, our blog. And we honor creativity. We honor the imagination because for some reason we have shaped life for creativity to be a luxury item. It shouldn't be, but it is. The ability to live a creative life, to live a creative and well-traveled life, to see the world and be touched by other people from other cultures, it's a luxury item. But we hope that it won't stay that way.
Yeah.
And if we nurture creativity and we honor creativity and we heighten creativity, we hope that it will lead to it not being a luxury item for everybody. It will be the norm for people. So that's what we've been about, and that's one reason why we featured your own Dario Chrysler from, Black Hollywood Live, because what you all are doing is phenomenal in and of itself. This is part of the conversation. This is how people keep their creativity nourished. I wouldn't want to imagine a world without a song. I wouldn't want to imagine a world without poetry. I wouldn't want to imagine the world without art. This is who we really are. The first thing that cavemen did was pick up some pigment and paint on the cave walls. They're 40,000 years old and they're still there. They took their hands and they pressed them and they put their handprints up on the wall. We've always been interacting with life and our environment that way. And we just want to honor creativity.
I love it. Vannucci magazine, elevate your mind, elevate your life.
Yes.
Expand yourself.
Absolutely.
Grow. I commend you. I congratulate you. And that is absolutely a beautiful thing you got going on. Vannucci magazine. Where can they find that? What's the website where
it's
they can
Vannucci, Vannichi.com.
Vannucci.com. And they can also follow you, Do It in Public.
Yes,
on
that's
Twitter.
me personally.
Yes, that's you personally.
I miss Do It in Public.
Always do it in public. Everybody know about it.
Right.
So outside of, these amazing things of Vannucci magazine, being a publicist, what else do you have going on that, we could be aware of, we can follow you on?
Oh my goodness. Well, I get a chance to also work with amazing people and advise amazing projects. And one that is near and dear to my heart is the Geeky Awards. This is a woman that you would like. Kristen Nettapak is fantastic. She started a whole award show by herself.
Oh, wow.
She is a geek creator, like a content creator, a geek host. And she was like, there's nothing for, geek creators, these people that are making these amazing videos, video games and things like that. There's no award show honoring them. And so she started it. And Stan Lee accepted the first ever award from her, the Lifetime Achievement Award. This year it became the Stan Lee Lifetime Achievement Award, and we gave it to Gail Ann Hurd, who's the first woman of sci-fi. She did the Terminator, and she does The Walking Dead, and she was part of Aliens franchise, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing woman. And LeVar Burton, we got to honor him for raising $6.5 million for Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
It's like, so it's just an amazing platform. And that is the Geeky Awards, TheGeekie awards.com. And that's just absolutely amazing. And then another just phenomenal thing that happened. Sometimes you don't talk to somebody for a while.
Right.
And you pick up the phone, you have a conversation, you're like, oh my God, this is what you've been doing while we haven't been talking.
Right.
And wait, my life has been going in the same direction. How have we not been talking about this? Well, that's what happened with me and Zinga Blake, who is amazing. She's a producer, director, writer, has been on camera talent for a long time, just phenomenal human being. And she's also a Sierra Leonean American. And so when the Ebola crisis started, making national news, she was like, one of the things that's going on is that the people who need the most help, the medical centers that really need resources are not getting what they need. So she started a campaign called Shake Ebola Off. And all you got to do is dance.
Wow.
On camera.
Yeah.
And challenge someone else to dance similar to the ALS Bucket Challenge and raise money for Emergency USA so that they can treat Ebola patients right there on the ground and get what they need. Kevin Bacon stepped up and actually did some moves from Footloose.
Yeah.
And then he challenged one of his co-stars on The Following on Fox. And this guy did like this amazing tap routine. We had never seen anything like it. Was choreographed. It had people it's deep. Amazing, amazing, amazing. The Denver Broncos cheerleaders have stepped up. It's just been getting such amazing visibility. Entertainment Tonight talked about it. We've been so fortunate. Forbes covered it. It's getting out there, and it's raising money and raising awareness for Ebola patients and Ebola treatment. So that you don't have to just sit there and be scared.
Right.
That's one of the things I hate. You get a lot of messages just like, be scared, stay in your house, fear. No, you can actually do something, and it doesn't take a whole lot to do something. So we like to give people ways to get involved with things that they can actually be empowered
and just create a movement.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for schooling me a little bit on PR. I appreciate it. You're stunning. You're beautiful. You have an amazing spirit. And you can find Joy at Do It in Public. See, now you know where my mind went right there, right?
I know.
Do It in Public. Vannucci Magazine. Let's tell them one more time.
Vannucci, VANICHI.com.
And I'm your host, Ashida Andre, and thank you so much for being with me this Friday morning, and I look forward to inspiring you next week.
From producers Maria Menounos, Gloria Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in. The views expressed here are those of the host only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.